Mark 2, verse 7, and Luke 5, verse 21, are often presented as proof that God cannot give anyone authority to forgive sins. And therefore, according to that reasoning, in order for Jesus to forgive sins, Jesus has to be the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Thus, it is being asserted that Jesus has to be God Almighty, since, according to the way this is often quoted, only God can forgive sins. However, if we note the context, the ones who are saying no one can forgive sins but God are the Jewish leaders. These are the same Jewish leaders described as lying and deceiving, offspring of vipers. They are saying this because of envy and fear of losing their positions. This was simply one of the excuses they used to accuse Jesus of blasphemy in an effort to find some reason, according to the law, to justify, before the eyes of the people, killing him. In Mark 2:10, we find that instead of claiming to be God, Jesus claimed to be the promised son of the man, David, who had authority on earth to forgive sins. And who gave Jesus this authority? Other scriptures show that he received his authority from his God. Matthew 9, verse 8, reveals that Jesus, as a man among men, received this authority from his God and Father. Peter, in speaking to the Jews, as shown in Acts 2:22, described Jesus as a man approved of God by miracles and wonders and signs, which God did by means of him. The God that Peter refers to is evidently not Jesus, whom God approved, so Peter must be referring to the God and Father of Jesus, and in doing this, he is presenting God as one person, that is, the Father. This agrees with Paul's statement in 1 Corinthians 8:6 that there is one God, of whom are all. In this verse, Paul identifies that one God as being the Father of Jesus, and he distinguishes Jesus from being the one God by identifying Jesus as the one Lord, through whom are all. In the same manner, the God that Peter is referring to, as recorded in Acts 3:13, as one person, is the God of Abraham and of Isaac and of Jacob. Peter identifies God as being one person who spoke to Moses. It was this same God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob who spoke, as recorded in Deuteronomy 18:15-22, of raising up a prophet like Moses, who was to speak the words of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and come in the name of Jehovah. Throughout the scriptures we find it stated that Jesus' power and authority are given to him from his God and Father. Jesus is not Jehovah who gives him this dominion, all authority and power, with the evident exception of the position of being the Most High himself. 1 Corinthians 15:27. It is Jesus' God who is the source of Jesus' power, since Jesus is not the one God of whom are all. Nevertheless, Jesus uses the power and authority that his God has given him to the glory of his God, Jehovah. The Bible writers never claim that Jesus is the ultimate source of his own power. There is nothing in the fact that the only true God, who sent Jesus, and who gave to Jesus authority on earth to forgive sins, that means that Jesus is also the only true God, or a person of the only true God, as assumed by our Trinitarian friends. There is definitely nothing in any of these verses that gives us reason to create many assumptions, and add those assumptions to, and read those assumptions into these scriptures, to claim that the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is three persons, and that Jesus is a person of Jehovah, and further add many other assumptions to support the triune God doctrine. The idea that Jesus is Jehovah, or that Jehovah is more than one person, is nowhere to be found in the Bible.